Go.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the SpectatorCast, episode 7, and today we have, joining me, Zeroeffect and Fuzion, coolcmcgee, and for win, we also have two-time TFC champion, IRM. How you doing, IRM?
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I hear you been wanting to get on for a while, so we thought we'd find a way to fit you in there. So, I guess what we usually like to do most of the time is just try to figure out who is IRM, how did he get into competitive fighting games and Soul Calibur 5. So, just kind of your upbringing in the competitive fighting scene.
Okay, so I started playing Soul Calibur 5 when it first came out, and I was an online warrior. I thought I was pretty good, but I was pretty ass in retrospect. But I didn't learn. Okay, so I wanted to go to NEC because I had been watching like all the MLG 2012 shit, and I was like, damn, I can beat these guys. And so I was like, all right, I want to go. And so I started just trying to get better. What's hilarious is I didn't learn what punishment was until a week before NEC. So it was like, damn, how are you going to win something if you don't know punishment? But anyway.
And this was NEC, what, 2012? 2013?
2012.
Okay.
And so after I went to NEC in 2012, I was just like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. Everybody was really nice, despite me being a jackass online. So, which is funny because I was an ass to Reptile, and Reptile is like one of my closest friends in the community now. After all this stuff, damn.
Why Reptile in particular?
I don't know. Like me and Reptile always had beef for a while before I showed up, and it was mostly me talking shit, And so I went out there and just tried my best, and I got 9th, and I was like, damn, I did pretty well for someone who's like first coming out. So
right.
I was like, all right, I'll just keep going. And I just started practicing punishment, and punishment was getting me pretty far. And then I just started looking into deeper meta, more mix-up oriented gameplay, putting people into situations repeatedly, trying to, make them guess wrong. And then that's basically what Maxi does anyway. So I was like, all right, I like mix-up characters, so I'm gonna just mix up people.
All right. Speaking of which, why Maxi?
Okay, so in Soul Calibur 4, I was playing with Talum first.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, I played Soul Calibur 4 was my first Soul Calibur I actually played.
Okay.
If you give me a second, I'll decline that. So Soul Calibur 4 is my first one, and then I played Killing, and then I was like, holy shit, this guy uses nunchucks, so I played Maxi. And then when Soul Calibur 5 came out, he turned out to be really fucking good.
Yeah.
As opposed to Soul Calibur 4.
Yeah, he's pretty bad in 4.
Yeah, so, and I liked the personality of Maxi too. He was really like assholey and shit like that. So I was like, yo,
okay,
me and this character match pretty well.
Okay.
And then I like his quotes and shit too. So I thought that was pretty funny. What really made me fall in love with the character was his super in 4, the critical finish, because it was so retarded.
What, Maxi's?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well.
It kicks you in the elbow and you die. It's like, all right, this guy's cool. And that's pretty much it. Then I just kept playing, and
so it was MLG. Which one was that you're talking about that you saw?
I always I remember first hearing about the MLGs because some people online were talking about it. It was the one in Ohio was the first one that I didn't even know professional gaming was a thing outside of like Call of Duty and like first person shooters and shit like that. And,
right.
MLG and Halo. So I was like, oh snap, MLG has Soul Calibur, But unfortunately, I couldn't make any of those. I was 17 when in 2012. Yeah, I just turned 18 in 2012. So I was pretty young then. I was working too, so I was like, damn, I can't make it.
Right, yeah. So that was the tournament that made you decide, okay, I want to make this a regular thing, or was that NEC? Like what?
Oh well, around November of 2012, that's when I first started going on 8-Way Run, like to look at stuff.
Right.
I noticed well, okay, so I noticed LP made a tier list, and I was commenting on it. I was saying that his tier list was wrong, but what's funny is even all the way back then, LP had like the perfect tier list. Algol at the top with Viola and APAT. He had Pat up there. All the strong characters. I'm just like, no way, these characters aren't that good. I'm like, Algol. Come on, man, Algol's ass. But we all know Algol's pretty fucking stupid. So, LP was ahead of his time. And I was talking a lot of shit. And then Great One was like, oh yeah, young nigga, who you think you are coming in here? All this stuff, Typical Great One. And I was, what, fuck it, I'm going to go to this tournament. And then I went into I think it was Java Chat back then.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah.
And I remember Zeph was in there, and he was just like, yo, man, I heard you was talking shit, you coming to NEC? I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to NEC. He was like, we're going to money match, we're going to play. I was like, yeah, dude, I'll play. And I remember him, they were just like, they were downplaying the shit out of me and stuff like that. I was just telling them, hey, don't fucking underestimate what I'm going to do and all that shit. And then, yeah, whatever. And I'm just like, okay. And then, I went, I got beat by Ramon, and then I was like, damn, I can't go out this way. So I just started going to more and more. Eventually, I picked up a win at TFC. Multiple top 8 places. Some not so great 9th places. It is what it is. Some tournaments you're going to have a good tournament. Some you're going to have a bad. So can't play perfect at the time.
No. So when I met you at NEC, whatever the first one was, 2012, what was that?
Yeah, I remember we played.
Anyway,
casual.
But no, when I first saw you, you may not have heard this story, but I thought you were Jimbo.
Yeah.
And
what's funny is I was going. The only reason I really was going to go. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. Yeah. Was, 1, the competition was there, and 2, I get to meet Jim. Me and Jim were online buddies way before. Well, he went to the MLG and beat Kayane in August or something like that. But I didn't start.
Yeah, that's right.
I played with Jim right after that. I didn't even see that tournament. But yeah, the Jimbo Nation hype, all that shit. That was a while ago. But yeah. I was like, where's Jim? And then I saw his fro. I was like, yo, that's him.
Yeah, I had never seen either one of you. And I just know that Jimbo is a go-to name for some black prison characters and sitcoms and shit like that. So I'm like, all right, this big black dude sitting here must be Jimbo. I didn't think anyone black had the name I Rock the Maxi. That sounded whitish to me.
Yeah,
so
was, oh man.
And you were just kind of sitting there playing training mode or whatever by yourself, and so I'm just like, yo, you want to play? And we played, and I'm like, all right, this guy partially this guy is pretty good, and then the other part was no one had played Maxi against me ever in Soul Calibur 5 at that point. So I was just like, okay, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'll try to adapt somewhat. And it started to swing more into my favor as the matches went on, but I was like, man, this guy might actually be a problem in tournaments. So I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. We never actually played in tournament, but I remember you beat Triple J and somebody else. Or maybe, you didn't beat Ramon, but I remember watching some of the match and seeing you won the first 2 games. pretty quick. And then I somehow you lost. I don't know because I didn't see the rest of the match. But
I was getting fucked up by some fucking tomfoolery that he was fucking doing. Some fucking 1-1A shit. I was just like, man, how the fuck do you deal with that?
Oh yeah.
I was getting fucked by 1-1A and 3A plus B. 3A plus
Oh
B.
yeah.
3A plus B is still fucking godlike from Pyrrha, but 1-1A not so much.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess I saw that, and then you, from there, it seemed like you kind of had developed some kind of a bad reputation with 8-Way Run as a whole. So
I don't know. I talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I was new, and I talked a lot of shit. So
funny thing is, I was never around for any of that. So when people bring this up, I'm like, really? IRM? He's so chill in person.
I've always
see. Here's the thing: a lot of people are chill in person, and that's probably part of the reason why, like, people's online personas get so much heat because it's like you don't act like this in person. So
I think I act like,
why are you bullshitting?
I think pretty stupid in person at events. Also, I'm always the guy that's yelling and shit.
Being hype and being like a clown is one thing. Just being an asshole is another. Like that's some people don't know how to like they switch back and forth when they're online. They're like just an ass, and then when they're in person, it's like, oh hey, yeah, we were cool because it's like. So I mean, I'm not saying that was you, but in general, that's what people seem to look at online, like first impressions online.
Yeah, like sarcasm and stuff doesn't always come across in text.
No,
like it's really hard to get your tone across sometimes. Some people think, like they'll be like, "Calm down," or "You're so mad." I'm like, no, I'm not really. I'm just typing some shit. That's it.
Yeah.
Yo,
you're angry keys.
You're mad at the taunting thing, though. I was like,
yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. Right.
You got me there.
That was pretty hilarious. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I talked a lot of shit. I didn't really produce a lot of results, so people talk that good shit. And as I got better, people really couldn't say shit because I was fucking them up. So that happens. And it's just like, damn. And then there's like people like, oh, I don't want to lose to IRM. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. You're gonna lose to me anyway. That's the kind of shit I would say. It's like, oh, nobody wants to lose to this guy. It's kind of like what's the Sword Lord thing.
But you're actually good.
Sword Lord thing.
Sword Lord. The thing with Sword Lord is he's not super terrible. It's just the way he plays. It's like not for this game.
Guarding up positive 48. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing the wrong game.
The statue tactics.
But yeah.
I mean, Sword Lord, but Sword Lord was getting shit on even in Soul Calibur 4, which would have been much more his game.
That thing with hates. The stream went offline.
Oh, did it?
It did.
Are you recording?
Sure. Yeah, I'm recording.
Oh, okay, that works. It doesn't matter if it goes offline.
This story is particular to my interest because I was around for all of that.
Oh.
Yeah,
the Sword Lord stuff.
The Sword Lord and hates battles. The inflated money match. There was one of those. See, okay, so I actually had a huge problem with Bibulus when I was first starting.
Yeah, I remember that. Because
Bibulus, he did not want to. Okay, so Bibulus used to beat me online, right? Like, he used to beat me pretty free.
Yeah.
So when I started to get good and I started rocking the shit out of him, like really badly, I don't know what. It's like he couldn't accept it or some shit. And
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, suddenly the person you were beating on is now like destroying you. It's like that's not. I mean, what regular person is just gonna be like, oh, that's cool. I accept that I'm just free to the guy I used to destroy. Like, who does that?
I mean, well, I feel like he went about it the wrong way. So, like, a lot of the commentaries of me playing, A huge one was when I got to grand finals versus MT Fighter at that one Winter Brawl.
Right.
And the commentary was so fucking trash. Like you can't even watch it because it's.
Well, what was he just like trashing you the whole match?
Yeah, it was just like a bunch of like.
Because I never watched it.
It was a bunch of coonery coming from so. That's basically what it was. This is a bunch of
coonery, huh?
Dumb. It was like a bunch of dumb remarks and like a lot of like kind of bashing shit and like blah blah blah. He's not even like kind of shit like that. But it's like whatever, I just watched it muted. I remember Ramon being really mad about it and like going off on Bibulus.
Oh, okay.
And that shit was funny. Ramon was like, dude, and he talked to him and shit, Yeah, he hasn't done it since then.
No.
Except for there was one recent match that him and Sandman were commentating that just like kind of like annoyed the shit out of me. It was the one me versus Hawkeye, which is actually a really good match. Everyone should go check that shit out. But
at Winter Brawl this past?
Brawl? Just bring your own soundtrack because the commentary is not exactly that great.
Yeah, I mean, you
that was the problems I had. It was like, see, some of the problems, like a lot of the people who they're not really bringing anything to the table, as in like information or like just like information or like clarity. It's just like oohs and ahs and like not explaining the situations and why the players make these decisions, like the in-depth mix-ups. Because like you see some dumb shit and it's like some of the like weirdest shit, but it's a mix-up and nobody, and like when someone's just like, oh, they dropped the combo there, like, and it's like it's not even a combo drop. It's like it's a setup sometimes, like force block opportunities, throw mix-ups, all that kind of shit, and it's like they don't. Right. And there's certain commentators that do, like Troy Bob, Partisan, and Party Wolf. So that's why I'm like, and Jim. So it's like you want to get those knowledgeable people up there to commentate. But I'm going on a tangent here.
Well, I was just gonna say, like as far as commentary goes, one thing that, and I'm not just referring to Bibulus, but anybody, like if you're on there and there's two people playing, you don't want to just like trash one or more of the players. Like really just doesn't come across well. You want to try and put them, I guess the term we put them over, like just to show like these are the guys, these are the tournament guys for this game. And if you're a casual player watching a tournament stream, these are the guys you want to, compete with and beat. Like you don't want to make them, just because you have a beef with them personally, you don't want to make them seem like trash in game. Like that's just, to me, is not.
It's a misrepresentation of the player's skill, and it's like really disrespectful to like if they're sitting here. It's like if a player's sitting here in grand finals and you got knocked out in pools, what the fuck are you doing trashing this player? Like, come on now.
Well, even if they're waiting in grand finals and you're playing a losers finals match, it's still not. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. It's just like. It's like, who the fuck are you to be like, coming at me with this shit, eh? No, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Oh my god. But, like, yeah. I feel like there's certain people who should be on commentary, and then there's certain people who shouldn't. People who shouldn't know who they are, and if you are offended, it doesn't matter. You need to step up that commentary game. But back on task. What were we talking about?
We were just talking about you and just your coming through the community from being one of the people who got made fun of and trashed a lot in chat and things like that to now being one of the more known players. But I mean, let's be honest. Did you some of the stuff that people called you on, like that was some of that shit was stuff that you kind of brought on?
I mean, yeah, there's some things I like brought upon myself, and those kind of shit you deserve to get bagged on for it. but like a lot of other dumb fuckery that happens, and like people make shit up or like you know just try to like, oh, hey, look, this guy. It's the cool thing to talk shit on this guy right now.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that either. But
so it's like it's it's whatever. I mean, everyone's done it before. Everyone's done it before, so when you realize it's kind of fucked up, you kind of steer away from it. But coming from online scrub to offline scrub, now it feels good just to go out and just play. And that's the reason why I just kept going out, is because regardless of where I place, I just go out, have a good time, just play games.
Yeah, that's always a good way to look at it. I mean, especially if you've already, I'm not going to say won everything, but just once you've solidified your place as, a major contender, from there, it's like, there's really nowhere higher you can go. I mean, there's higher you can go in terms of developing your skill and all that, but as far as ranking, it's just a matter of, can you beat so-and-so on that day or not? So you might as well just go there and do what you got to do and not put a whole lot of stress on yourself.
Hold on a second. I'll be right.
Okay.
Try restarting this thing.
Yeah.
Is this did it freeze again? Because it looks fine for me.
Everyone keeps saying there's something wrong with the...
Hold up.
I'm gonna try restarting it. Try changing servers, I guess.
Okay.
Well, it says it's live, so...
Oh, it can be lagging or whatever. So,
Oh, I see.
I just said I was restarting, Blue Boy.
Oh, Blue Boy's in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, I just typed it out.
Blue Boy's the best.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that guy. Alright, so...
Hold on. Uno momento.
Un momento.
Prepare the stream.
Chotomate kudasai.
Okay. Alright, okay.
Oh.
Aren't you glad this podcast is unedited, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it live.
Timestamps.
Fuck it.
Fuck it, we'll do it.
Oh, man.
You got everything situated?
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Alright.
If it's not working now, I'm just going to blame Twitch.
What Zach was saying, at least for me, I'm not exactly satisfied with, where I am right now. And I don't think I'll ever be satisfied if I'm not winning everything, so...
Well, of course not. No, nobody's satisfied with not winning, but it's just, you don't have this... It's not the same as, like, when you're still trying to prove yourself, as opposed to now you're just trying to win because you've already shown that you have the ability.
Honestly, really, I've never was like trying to prove myself to anyone. I was just forcing them to respect my existence.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, though, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Respect my authority.
I mean, it's like, ooh, it's so funny because everyone's always like, or when I first started, it's like, oh, nobody knows this matchup. Wait till people learn this matchup. I'm just like, it won't matter when they learn the matchup because I'll still win. So people know the matchup now and they're still losing. So I mean,
Yeah.
I've never lost. Just
stay in the money pit, McGee.
I'm undefeated against IRM in tournament, guys. Like,
Dude. But like, I just always was trying to win. Like when I first went to NEC, I was like, I honestly believed that I would win that tournament. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna fucking win this shit. And I remember way back then, I was playing with Lolo, like, and he was like, dude, you're like, even back then, Lolo was like, you are like really, really good. And like, even though I wasn't playing like where I am now, where it's just like always like really crazy kind of reads off of Wilson and B plus K's. People don't think they're reads, like I'm just putting it out, but there's reads going on there. But
yeah, it always looks like spam to people that don't understand what's going on, you know.
Well, the thing is, I throw it out for guard pressure, and then in certain situations I'll throw it out because I'm looking for that high or that throw or that vertical. It just so happens that
I like this.
It anything. All three, so it makes it seem like, oh, he's just throwing it up. But sometimes I'm just mad. I'll just throw that shit out. I was like, well, if it hits, I get a combo. If they guard it, they block 6 more, they're gonna break. And it's really easy to make people guard that move.
Well, yeah, I mean, it catches step.
Okay,
that's a good way to make people block.
I could talk about this move all day. Pros and cons, but like
no, but you're like, yeah, it's easy to make people block that move. Well, right. Of course it is.
I mean, I've had it before.
Yeah, you have to step in last minute, but like that's not the easiest thing in the world.
You have to step it while he's coming around, or you're gonna get hit. If you step before,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you step before he comes back up, you're gonna get hit. If you step after he comes back up, you're gonna get hit. You need to step while he's like coming up. It's weird.
Just get hit.
That's where you can interrupt him in that same part too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, yo, I'm gonna win. I always just wanted to win, and that was just like the main driving factor. It was just like, man, and it's like you see yourself improving, and you're just like, damn. It's like I'm doing really well, making really good decisions, and it's like, all right, well, shit. I think I'm gonna win this time, and that's just how it is. That's how I just do it, man. Just want to go out and win and play games. That's really all it's down to. I just like to play.
Actually, I think you're forgetting probably one of your biggest achievements. You taught an entire country about one move.
Yo, I taught the world about Maxi, man.
France had like a mini heart attack after that. After that.
I mean, man, they wanted to talk shit on Maxi, man.
France looks like they got invaded by Germany after that tournament. Like,
oh god.
But like, yeah, I like to think I had my part in Soul Calibur 5.
Lord Maxi.
Lord Maxi.
Yo, the only reason that is a thing, you gotta thank LP for that. Like, he started that shit.
Started what?
The Lord Maxi thing. Because, you
I
know,
thought you just got that off of Laisha.
Laisha says it, but I didn't even notice until LP.
Oh, okay.
He was playing Laisha versus me. That's another thing. There's like a few people that like were kind of key in my development as a player. Even now, there's a few people who still like are helping me get better. Like LP was a huge help to my development. You know, Ramon, Lolo, Zeph, and Great One. Great One really helped a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't play a whole lot, but he kind of knows.
The thing with Great One,
he gets to pick the brains of like the other top players that he associates with.
Great One. The thing that like Great One's really like he's actually really good at this game. He's a really good player. It's just like he doesn't. It's like when he wants to fuck you up, he will fuck you up. Like I'll be playing games with Great One and I'll be winning games, and then out of nowhere, like he just like turns it on and just fucks me up for free. And I'm just like, is this the same person? And then
that sounds like you and me playing.
And then he watches so much caliber, like so much high level caliber, like
right, yeah.
All the high level players, like he sits in training mode. And he like comes out with like a lot of like information and he'll share it. Like, if one of us is having a problem with the matchup, right? He'll like I remember when before Winter Brawl, I was kind of trying to figure out what I could do to make the matchup versus Hawkeye easier. Looking at tendencies and shit, because I know I could beat him. But in our tournament history, I haven't. So I'm just like, that's kind of there. That's a factor. And I was like trying to figure out what to do. And then Great One was like, look, man, I put up the stream and stuff, and we sat in there for like 4 hours, just like finding new strategies and shit, and some of that actually helped me to win that game. So if you need help with a matchup or anything, just hit up Great One. He knows like all.
Okay.
But yeah, those are like the key people who help me get better.
So you could say that LP and Ramon, more specifically, were kind of like the guys that took you under their wing, like we were talking about last time. And because you seem to be like upset that Shinji wanted something like that for him, and I'm like, I know for a fact Ramon at least was a guy who was trying to help you and not just trash you.
Well, Ramon, I remember I talked to him about it. When we first played, he said he saw something. So like, at first he wasn't really trying to help me. He was just like, he was shit talking me and stuff, just saying, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna money match you at Apex. I don't know if you were there at that tournament in 2013, but
No.
so there's gonna be a money match between me and him at Apex, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna make you my bitch, and he would just talk a lot of shit, and we played online, and he fucked me up. So I'm just like, damn, he's talking that good shit, and I can't do much about it. But through playing him a lot, I learned the matchup really well against Pyrrha.
Right.
So, and later down the line, I played other Pyrrha players in tournament, and had pretty good results. That's why on Facebook, when we get to that section, I was talking about the matchups and how I think that Pyrrha's matchup is in my favor, in Maxi's favor, and all that. It's because I know the matchup so well. I feel like it is. But like, and the same thing with LP. Like, I know early on LP noticed I would like to say I had some sort of talent for the game. And he kind of like helped me out and shit and played me online.
Right.
And I know I frustrated the shit out of him. Oh my.
Well then.
What happened?
Oh, and also another
What?
another person who helped me out a lot, and it's kind of funny. The only reason I do B plus K just ran is because of this person, and that's Party Wolf.
Oh.
So like, I was, I could do the B plus K just stream like all the time, like online and stuff. But I would never do it in a tournament, and then I would, it never crossed my mind to do it in a tournament because I was just like, oh, the moves. I used to feel the way Marginal used to feel about it. It's just like the moves too inconsistent to be done all the time as like optimal whip punishment and all that shit. And Party was just like, yo, man, that move's pretty good. Why don't you use it more? I was like, I don't know, and I just started using it. And it's like the same thing with Maxi's 3K. So a lot of like my more recent approaches come from, how, I do B plus K a lot. So thank Party Wolf for that. Everyone who gets hit.
Thank you, Party Wolf.
But back on the mentor thing, honestly, like, I don't know. They just told what really happened though. I mean, it sounds like, oh, they mentored me and it was all sunshines and rainbows, but it was not sunshines and rainbows. It was a lot of it was a lot of like, yo, man, you fucking trash. Kind of shit like that.
Right.
So it was just like, oh, they're gonna shit talk you and you fuck up pretty hard, They're beating you for free and shit. You get frustrated and then you just come back. go back to the drawing board, come back, still suck, go back, you still suck, and then, oh shit, you won some. What did you do here to win? You know, you sit down, you look at it. And that's really how it betters. You know, you have to have your punishment down, you have to have your spacing down, and you have to be able to look at your past games and be able to pick out. And let me rephrase it. You have to be able to analyze your past games and see what works and what doesn't, and see what situations you guess wrong on and all that shit, and then just work from there. Having a mentor helps, but it's like 90% of it is like you, and then it's like 10% everyone else.
I guess. I mean, I'm not sure about the percentage, but I mean, I know that there are times where you can watch some of your matches, mostly like your losses, and be like, okay, this is where I messed up. This is what I should have been doing. And then somebody can analyze the match for you that wasn't involved, and just say something that maybe you just don't like. Not that you weren't capable of thinking of it, but they approach the game in such a different way than you do that you can take some of what they say and apply it to what you already know, and now, you know, you have a different dimension to your game plan. Like I know Woz has done that maybe once. I mean, I've played Woz for years, but most of the time he doesn't really know what to say, and then there'll be like one or two times where he says, well, why don't you look at it this way? And it changes my entire perception on that given situation. So it's like I might have been able to get to that point later, but hearing it now allows me to look at it in a different way. So there is stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I was talking about with Great One also. Having that other view of someone who's just like a professional like spectator. I'm gonna call him a pro spectator because and you know
Should he be on this podcast?
We're looking for pro. This is SpectatorCast.
I don't know, man. I think Great One is a genius at this game in a different way and in a different sense as like, you know, someone like LP or Zeph.
Yeah.
It's like in his own way, like he knows the stuff. So yeah, I love Great One. I could talk about that guy all day.
Well, it's good to hear you say that because for a long time I never thought that was the case. I thought you and him were like fucking oil and water.
That's silence.
Yeah, I don't know. Did he go somewhere?
That controller is loud.
Must be last round, last hit.
I'm sorry. Nah, it's me and Great One's relationship is kind of funny. Like, that's my boy and everything. But sometimes, you know, we don't get along. You know, that's what friends do. So
yeah, that's true.
The more you argue with a friend, you know, the better your friend is. The more, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. It's like you argue with your best friend all the fucking time.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess moving on from that, one of the things that was brought up on Facebook, since, you know, a lot of things tend to happen there.
Juicy stuff.
Yo, the Facebook group has definitely evolved from what it used to.
Involved in what way?
It's a lot more active. There's a lot
cancer spread.
It has spread to the lymph nodes.
Like there's a lot
affected the whole system.
It looks like there's a lot of it looks like there's a lot of cancerous shit going on.
Cancer.
Gotta amputate the leg.
And in the Facebook group, but if you keep scrolling through, you'll see that there's a lot of like discussion going on, and that's something that wasn't exactly happening a lot before. So,
well, a lot of the top players, and I hate using that term, but a lot of the more well-known players went away from 8-Way Run to, I guess, avoid the scrubs and avoid the 12-year-olds and things like that, and made all their discussions on the competitive page that they would have been having on 8-Way Run back in SC4 days. So now that's become more. That's what 8-Way Run used to be. It's pretty much what Facebook is now.
I mean, I don't see a problem with all of the, the arguing, because at the end of the day, it'll, even though there's some some dumb fuckery that happens every now and again. I'm so good at this game. I'm sorry, but like, there's some dumb fuckery that goes on. At the end of the day, I feel like the discussion, like what LP did with hates, was really cool. If you didn't read that thread, you should. It's a lot of really intricate kind of discussions going on, like really deep in the meta kind of stuff. So you should read that. And I like the I like that kind of shit. Cav said it best, he's like, this Facebook shit usually like kills my brain, but this is like an orgasm for it right now, because it's like so much information.
So what all right, who is the guy in charge or guys in charge of the competitive page?
It's
Hawkeye, P-Dubs, Hates.
Because I feel like I don't know how often, but like every so often, I'll go on the competitive page, and there'll be a bunch of new people who join, who have no intentions on being competitive, and will like post a bunch of videos and hate mail pictures and CAS stuff, and it's like
my Marvel creations.
Which there is a Facebook group for SoulCalibur, just not the competitive page, and it's like, why? Like, how do these guys filter in?
I feel like it's not really that big of a deal, because you can choose to just avoid it, and then there's some people in the competitive page that are into like competitive players who are into like Create a Soul and stuff like that. For example, Party Wolf is like the best Create a Soul person I've ever seen touch in punch.
Love 9,000.
There's nothing wrong with Create a Soul. I'm just saying, like, there are people who are specifically for that and have no interest in competing. So it's like, why not just be a part of the regular SoulCalibur group and not the competitive group?
I feel like they probably do want to compete, and competing doesn't so happen like to. I'm trying to find the fucking words and I'm sounding like an idiot. So let me start over. It's not so much that they don't want to compete. They do want to compete, even though it's not offline. They still want to find, competent players to play against, so they, better themselves. And then ultimately, maybe they feel like, they're ready to go offline now. And I definitely wish I was a part of the Facebook group before I started. I
don't think it existed back then.
I think it did. I thought it existed for Soul Calibur 4 also.
Nah. Facebook wasn't really that big when Soul Calibur 4 was around. That was like 2008.
That's when Facebook was starting to ramp up, I thought.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just started to like really get popular at that point.
But yeah. So, I don't really feel like you should really boot them for that. Like, the people you should be booting are like the dumb fuckery. Like, I remember there's one guy who was just like being a complete jackass. And like it was like one of those threads where it's like, oh, I feel Soul Calibur 3 is the best Soul Calibur, blah 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 blah, and then that's just automatically, you already know that's going to start some drama anyway.
What, SC3 being the best?
Well, when people not even just SC3, just like when people
they go out of their way to bash every other Soul Calibur besides theirs.
And
right.
The people who do that are kicked like really fast. So. And, I applaud Party Wolf for doing that, because I know he's done it on multiple occasions. So, it used to be worse. There used to be a lot of that kind of shit. And then Hawkeye and him did a cleanup, so it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we have over like 1,000 people in that group, and most of them probably either forgot they're in the group or they don't comment at all. I mean, certainly there's always going to be a higher percentage of people just lurking than posting. But
yeah, I turned off my notifications for it. Like, the only time I know if anything's going there is if I happen to scroll past it or if I get tagged. And it's like, other than that, I don't want to have like 21 alerts on Facebook for like people arguing about stupid shit. Yeah. So that's why I did that. But occasionally I'll go past there and see the different threads. I know there was a discussion after Triple J won Winter Brawl about what a major is and what defines a major exactly. So I guess that's what do you guys think about that? Like,
I think a major.
Do we just have no majors anymore because Soul Calibur's doesn't have the numbers of Street Fighter, or are our majors what they are?
I feel like
what makes a major?
I feel like a major can be defined by the competition involved and the number. I mean, you can have an 8-person major with like the best people like in the game. I feel like it's like we just take the best 8 people in the world, put them in one fucking shit, have them around robin and like play. I feel like people would consider that a major. And I feel like it's kind of like a double standard, really. Anyway.
What do you mean?
So because like people, I don't know. It's kind of like really blurry. Really, I feel it might not be double standard. It's just like a really misty kind of thing. And yeah, what Great One said, level of competition, period. I feel like even if, well, hold on, let me think before I speak. So yeah, the level of competition, period, is a good one. But I feel like numbers also is a big deal. Anyway.
Well, the three. Go ahead.
I honestly feel the opposite about that. I feel like the majors are defined beforehand. Like, if no one wants to show up to a major and just hand it over to 5 people that probably wouldn't have won in a huge competitive field, that's too bad for them. Like, I just feel like the majors are declared. People want to win them in general, so the competition is going to be high, but you can't take away someone's win at a major just because not every, top player was there.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that after this, actually, because we all know IRM is known for invalidating wins, apparently.
I mean, it's a major. It's not like the major.
Mighty Omega.
That statement is fucking ironic as hell.
Yeah.
Because all he does...
I'm just like, I don't remember you invalidating wins, but I don't know.
Well, it's like, take for example, the TFC that just passed, right? TFC is considered a major by, like, general consensus, regardless of what Soul Calibur people think. It is a major tournament. It's a major event. It's hosted by like the 3 biggest East Coast of tournament organizers, So it's a big deal, and it's a major, I feel. So Cab was supposed to go, Dime was supposed to go. A few other people were supposed to go.
Yeah, Jimbo. RTD.
Yeah, and they pulled out. Not like it would have mattered, but they pulled out, and like, and then after the tournament was over, and I won,
Fuck.
Then, people, the naysayers come in and just like, oh well, whatever.
Well, yeah, there was that, and then there was the one where Cross of Ravens won Winter Brawl. There was a couple of tournaments where because it wasn't final round numbers or NEC numbers, people. I don't think it's so much the title of major that's the problem. I think it's just the weight they put on the victories that is the issue. Because if somebody... tournaments can be called majors, but if somebody that wasn't there says, well, the competition wasn't good enough for it to be worth celebrating, then really that's the issue there. It's not whether it's a major or not.
the real issue. It's not even really what is a major and what isn't. It's just people who would just invalidate people's wins in general.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like what Fuzion said, like the majors are declared beforehand. A lot of that doesn't really have to do with Soul Calibur. Like a lot of those majors are seen as such because of all the other games involved. Like Soul Calibur's always been a relatively small community. Even in its heyday, it's not going to pull like 200 people to 4 different tournaments. You might get that once at EVO or once at final round, but it's just not that kind of scene for this game. Right. So, and then another argument, people.
You should still be able to declare that this particular tournament we're going to consider a major for Soul Calibur, because I mean it's the same way with Tekken, right? Like final round is a huge Tekken tournament, but NEC was not.
I mean Soul Calibur I think does a little bit better than Tekken these days. That might change with Tekken 7, who knows? But I think in general, because like you have like EVO, the first EVO for Soul Calibur had like 400 some people, and clearly EVO is a big name tournament, so there's no question that would be considered a major by all that criteria. But then the next year, it's still EVO. Soul Calibur's a side tournament now, and not nearly as many players. Does that all of a sudden not be,
Yeah, major.
Do we change it just based on each tournament? I don't think that's the case.
And I think another factor, and I know Zeph brought this up, was the fact that it's not like a main game, so he doesn't consider it like a major, And I feel like you can't fault him for for that statement, because in some degree I feel like it's kind of true. So
I mean, I don't know exactly where Zeph went with that comment, but I mean, in a way, he's right. But are we saying then that the size of the pot and the interest has to do with it as well?
I feel like that has something to do with it as well. Just like NEC, the pot there is looking pretty fat. So go to NEC.
Oh yeah, NEC is looking pretty good.
The whole major, what's not and what is a major discussion, I feel like might be here for like ever until we get a new game, because the game's kind of coming towards the end of its life. We don't know if there even is a new game. Nothing was announced. There's some teasing, but we got Lost Swords, so that can tie us over.
Well, I think that what defines a major argument will always go on as long as somebody wants to find a reason to, as you said, invalidate wins. If that's what justifies it, then that's going to be what's brought up. So,
Yeah, Great One also makes another good point about the competition, and it's true, as the game went on, a lot of the OG kind of players that were big when the game was first starting, kind of fell out, and then the players who weren't as good as them, kind of became the newer top players, and they kind of leveled up. And some people feel like maybe these newer players aren't as good as the older players. I'm not saying that Great One's saying that. It's just like the competition definitely changed, so the skill changed, I feel.
That's actually a good point too, because another thing that people have made discussions about on Facebook is like who is the best with certain characters and who is, whatever, a bunch of stuff like that, and usually these conversations end up breaking down into who were the guys who were good at the beginning and who are the guys that were good now. And since there's no way to go back in time and say, play Decapon at his prime in EVO and put him against whoever's, good enough to beat him now, you really can't. I don't see how you can really make a comparison. It's easy to talk about, but like if somebody does really well the first year and a half and then stops, how do we know they'd still be as good as they were a year and a half ago? How do we know that they can beat the guys who came up now just because they did it in less time, like they took more time to get there?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That's what I think is kind of funny. You know, you have what's his name? Mateo always comes in.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Mateo, Mick, you know, all these guys.
I wanna hate Mateo, but I can't because he's fucking hilarious. He'll like come in random conversations. You know, if I still played, I'd still be the best Mitsu, and it's just like, you know, who knows? Maybe you would have got rocked. Maybe you'd be the best Mitsu, but you know.
You know, for someone that doesn't play Soul Calibur anymore, I see Mateo post a lot in the Soul Calibur group.
I don't know. I don't particularly like the way like he kind of goes around. Like he'll constantly say he doesn't give a shit, but he'll constantly continue to post. I mean, I just don't find like all his excuses like all that well, because I think of one time he says, "I forgot combos." I'm like, you play Mitsurugi, you have one combo, you have 3B, 236B, and he complained that he couldn't win because he didn't know that he memorized the combos. So I'm like, all right, you don't know that combo. I'm all right. That's great. I don't know. It's just, I particularly just don't like the dude.
I mean, I know him very well. Obviously,
well, let me. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
He's from Madison area like me, and it's never going to end. So this generation, you guys will remember him like that. Next generation, people from 2 generations before you, it's always been the same, and it'll always be the same. The good news is he can actually play. It'd be a lot more annoying if he was actually like just super terrible, constantly saying that. It would be ridiculous, but he can play. But yeah, it gets tiring. Where it's like, okay, well, just come play with us then. But he's not going to do that.
Yeah, he doesn't like the game, so. But let me address a great one right here. He asked if he were to all of a sudden be doing good with Tira, would I refer to him as the best Tira in the world or the best Tira main? I would just say he's the current best Tira player. I wouldn't be able to say if he could beat Decapon, because they may not ever play each other, or they may not play similar people, and that way we get to compare one person's versus the others. But I would say if that were the case, if he were to start beating people and winning tournaments of Tira, I would call him the current best Tira.
It is a weird thing, because, okay, like, who's the best Dampier then in the world?
Well, I guess there might be more than one.
Well, I think the world is a really hard thing to judge anyway, because, I mean, how many tournaments are international?
Yeah.
Sure. But are there any other Dampiers besides basically Ufmatic?
There's one in Japan, but
There's like one dude like in Cali, I think, but they don't say he's good, really good. But
so what I'm getting at is just like sometimes these characters are so underrepresented. I'm pretty sure a lot of the top players, like Zeph, Blue Boy, blah blah blah, it wouldn't take them long, maybe even just picking it up, to be the best Dampier. You know what I mean? With probably half the moveset too.
Dampier, it's kind of weird to say to be best Dampier when half the moves are random chance.
Yeah, that RNG based character, man.
So like,
but I think it'd be dominant. All you need is like a mid and a throw, and if you're that strong enough of a player, you could probably beat the next best, supposedly best with that character, without knowing all of the intricacies of the character itself. You don't need them if your personal skill level is that much higher. So I don't always think it's just like number of wins or who's most dominant with X character.
I feel like
it's a weird thing where sometimes some people may actually know more about the character than you and have better optimization in certain areas, but overall they don't have the mind game to keep up in a match. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between just being fundamentally good and making the character, like bending the character to your will, versus being really good with the character and making what they have work.
Right.
So I can't say that one's better than the other, though, unless they have some means to judge whether it's playing somebody that they can both play against or playing each other. how else would you really define that? Like, you know.
Yeah.
I would say that as far as Leisha players go, I don't know too many people who know more about it than me. But I won't say that I'm the best Leisha player just because I don't believe that exists, but that's just my personal thing.
Yo, Leisha, dude.
Well, I'm not talking about it like that. I mean, like in terms of, oh, well, I'm better than so and so who I've never even played, or you know, I don't mean that. But I would find it really hard to find somebody, even if they were just really fundamentally solid. Like if Lolo decided to play Leisha and start winning, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the best Leisha. He's just really solid. Like that's it's a different way to gauge it, I guess.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, you can be the better Leisha player, but the lesser Soulcalibur player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can lose to someone who's just on another level as far as reads and stuff, but they only have half the character knowledge you do. And I don't know how we phrase who is the best at playing Leisha, or who is the person who, when they select Leisha, wins most often.
It's really like who's the better character, who's the better player with the character, or who's the better Soulcalibur player. It's a different,
Well, that's like a different discussion in general. I mean, for every character, there's somebody who, like, takes that character to, like, that next level, like, that mastery level. Like, Zeph mastered Pyrrha. I feel like Party Wolf mastered, Sheba. Blue Boy mastered Pat. And, it's like, when you see them play, it's, like, completely different than when you see other people play that character. And I feel like when you're watching someone play a character and like that's them playing that character, you don't get their style confused with another player. Like it's that dominant, like it's that like impressive. I feel like that's how you can tell who really is a master for their character in general. But yeah, it's really subjective. That's what I agree with Party Wolf.
Yeah.
And the results should be the main basis of this discussion. So, but I don't know. I noticed. I actually noticed when I was talking about like that mastery thing fairly recently when I was playing against Hawkeye at Winter Brawl. I was just like, dude, when you play this character, I feel like I'm literally watching like a ninja movie, like a ninja like doing ninja shit. Like it's fucking crazy to watch. I don't know. I may be just crazy.
There's another thing that Great One just brought up. I know he has to go to work, so I'll just address this fast. It's one thing to be... Not all the best players make the best teachers. Yeah. And that's another thing that, like, if you're trying to learn a character, a lot of people will say, go to the one who's winning the most tournaments or whatever. And that's valid. But they may not be like the way they're winning might only be something they understand at that point. And so there's that too. Because I remember there was a discussion about somebody trying to learn WIndofMitsu, and somebody, Zeph obviously referred to Lolo, and as well he should. But then Signia somehow got dragged in, and he was, I think he was just kind of felt like disrespected in a sense, because he's the guy who apparently did a lot of the Yoshi knowledge and things. I don't know. I didn't follow the forum, but
I feel
Signia is obviously not on Lolo's level at this point. But if you want to learn Yoshi, do you just watch Lolo videos and hope you can emulate him? Or do you go to Signia and try to understand, at least to some degree, how this character is supposed to work? So,
the thing is, how can I put this? People should not get their panties in a ruffle when someone says, "Go to this person instead of them." They should look at it with like from a perspective of not being butthurt, and it's like if someone recommends Lolo to like learn Yoshi from, how can you really argue it? Like,
okay, so what if they recommended Lolo to learn Maxi?
well, that'd be stupid because he doesn't play Maxi.
But what if he just decided he was going to play him, and he just starts beating people that you might have trouble with because he's used to playing them and knows their tendencies? Like, wouldn't that make you seem like, I don't know?
Well, when you're putting it that way, it's not him being like a master of Maxi, it's just him being like the better player. Because
right, that's what we were talking about.
Oh, Wind, what do you think?
Oh man,
I'm saying like that. That's exactly why. That's exactly why I think Signia felt slighted, because it's like, Lolo is a really good player. Nobody's denying that, but it's just, is he the guy you go to learn, how to play Yoshi, or is he the guy you go to see why his shit just works on people?
All right, here I'm gonna take my big thing about this now, because I've been I guess accumulating thoughts and ideas here, but this goes back to what I think I had talked about in last podcast. Is kind of like who are your teachers, and who's gonna bring you up? I would say Lolo is the pinnacle of if all Yoshi things are Yoshi Master in this case, but thing is, you can look at him and try and take that as what I should learn, but in reality you can't, because that's Lolo. You can literally not be a mirror of somebody's thing. That's why, from what we talked about, basically as if someone played this character, would they be the best? We have tons and tons of Pat players. We have tons and tons of Pat players, except all of them play differently. Even though Pat is plain as white bread, I can see the differences between every single one of them, between Fuzion, between Blue Boy, between every single one of them. They have their own flow, their own mix-up. They're constantly making themselves more, you could tell whose Pat am I playing, because they do this and that. But I guess now for the teacher thing that I addressed back in the previous podcast, it's I feel like you would want to go to Signia first. I'm not doubting Lolo in any regards. Just the fact is, Lolo could tell you all this stuff, but the thing is, would you be able to apply that? Because all that stuff is because he has understood the game for years and upon years, and he is at a level that I would want to say that only him and one other, or I guess you can almost say he's the best in the world right now, or not, but he's at that level where would you be understand in his case? You may want someone like Signia, where he's still extremely good, but I guess he still has I guess a pullback to where he can make it more easier to understand, if you're trying to create your own stuff. Because in Everness, a teacher is not trying to make you a copy of himself. He's trying to make you find your own self to be how you want to play. Because like I said, no one plays the exact same. There is always differences between people that play characters. So
I mean, basically, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. Whatever you can absorb from whoever it is, Lolo, Signia, Ring Out, whatever. I mean, if you're Yoshi anyway, those things, and I'm sure Lolo can definitely help. I mean, you can't be fundamentally solid without some kind of game plan, but if you get to the point where you feel like you're stuck on a particular matchup, and that Lolo's beating the player more than the matchup, you might want to go to somebody who's more into the frames and into the the science behind what a character's supposed to do against another character. There's different levels to it. You could also learn how to play your character from people who don't even play them. I know that there have been times where I got stuck as Leisha, and I wouldn't even play her for a little bit. I'd play Pyrrha or something and watch how Pyrrha players play, and I'd be able to apply some of that to my Leisha game, and I've noticed a spike that I probably wouldn't have noticed if I just stuck with Leisha. So there's whatever you can get. You want to absorb as much information as you can, even if it's not from the top of the top guys all the time.
True.
So I mean, that's just my philosophy.
Finding your diamonds in the rough, as we said, I think last time, because we have all that mountains and mountains of information on AWA Run, but only you have to look deep and find the ones like by who and so much that are like the ones that we need to like define and say like this is what you want to know. Because all the threads we've had have been like I said, are like large arguments, but at the end, like that's what the Facebook stuff is. At the end, we've come down and found out like what we need to know, and that like that's what people need to look at. But since we have all this walls of arguments, they kind of just get a little let off astray. So it makes it difficult in a sense to kind of have that. I guess I'm sorry if I'm not making sense. I got a lot I'm thinking about with all this.
Yeah, so. No, it's good.
I mean, you got to be objective with what you're looking at too, though. And like you were saying before, when I mean, if it's stuff that comes out early in the game, I don't know why you said something that reminded me of this, but like let's say Soul Calibur 6 comes out, and you got to know there's going to be people who are going to find questionable cheese tactics early on, and they're going to start winning quickly. You know what I mean? And if everyone's just like, all right, they're winning, I guess that's what I got to do. You might be setting yourself up for failure in the future when some of that people start to find the holes in that. You got to look at objectively how people are winning. Are they just throwing out YOLO CEs? You can win a lot doing that, but sometimes you got to be careful. I mean, if you don't have that kind of read, you better have something to fall back on.
The backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, tournament mind games, at high level you really can't replace them. Like, you can go into training mode as much as you want, you can play online as much as you want, but it's just a completely different environment, especially if the person you're playing against is like an established player. There are things that people get away with just based on doing one random thing that they would not normally do. It's like, well, he's a super solid player. He would never do something random. Oh shit, he did something random.
Yeah.
And now that fucks your brain up for the round.
High level Soul Calibur is all mashing. Like, I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh, how do I get better? I'm like, just fucking mash.
Mash that shit up.
It's like, it's not so much. It's like
it's deep, but at the same time, it's not. It's like
tactical mashing.
It's like educated guessing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's risk reward to it for sure.
Like, if you were to tell some random person who was trying to learn from you, like, mash, they'd be like, well, mash what? Every time I mash buttons, I get counter hit. And it's like, well, you have to know when to mash, and now it's a different discussion. So,
and that all comes down to being able to read your opponent anyway, and reading certain situations. Like, that's why you gotta condition someone, really. You can't just like go in and just mash all over them,
Right.
Unless you're like Pyrrha.
Basically.
Well, according to you, 2A on block into 2A is the best strat in Soul Calibur 5. So, want to explain that?
Okay, it's 2A on block and on hit is fucking stupid, because at a higher level of I feel like high level play, like landing a 2A is no different from like landing a 1K, really. Like, I feel like whoever lands the 2K or the 2A is still a disadvantage regardless, because you can just guard. Some people can actually backstep after being hit by your 2A. So it's like, okay, so you do a 2A, right? And then you do another 2A, what? They just guard your 2A, right? Okay, then what? You're like minus what, like 2? You can throw another 2A out, or you can just block, really. So you don't get punished for it. And it's like, okay, if they try to interrupt you, you just hit them with a 2A. So if they fuck.
No, you. I
lost my train of thought. Hold on, I'm trying to get it back. So 2A, right? Okay, here's the thing with 2A and the 2A. So for me, in my case, after I do 2As, I like to follow it up with slower moves that apply guard damage, right? So I like to do that sometimes. Other than 2A and the 2A. So like that's where I get a majority of my guard damage. After 2A, I make someone want to block something. It's like
I'm the same way.
So you do a 2A and then you do a slower move to apply guard damage. You know, you got your mix-ups in general, like throw or low. But what makes 2A into 2A so broken is the fact that people like to just guard and disrespect after the 2A. So you do 2A again, and then you put them right back into the same situation, and you can just make them guess again, and they'll guess wrong. But like, okay, and then JJJ brings up a good point. So some characters 2As aren't as good as others. Like Mitsu's 2A and like Leisha's standing 2A. Her full crouch 2A is godlike, but you know some characters can do it. So you know it's kind of character specific. But if they're in range to do 2A into 2A, it's pretty dope. Like even for Mitsu, and I think Mitsu's 2A is actually really good.
Yeah. So when I saw you had posted that on Facebook, like it was a revelation of something. I'm like, well, hold on. I remember it was like East Coast Throwdown, whatever the second one was, and it was the one that Ramon won, and I was playing Ramon in casuals before, and you were just like, there isn't that many things where like I've seen you talk about that I didn't think about before, but then you were just behind me like, yo, you got a 2A twice against Pyrrha, and I'm like, huh,
yeah,
okay,
because
2A twice against Pyrrha, and then I'm like, all right, well, let me just see if it works, and it started to work, and I'm like, oh, well, all right, so even if she blocks 2A, I can do this again because 6-6A is too slow. All right, he hits me with BB. He's trying to hit me at 4-4A, so 2A would beat that. Hey, wait, this shit actually is getting some mileage out of it.
2A, like what makes 2A so good is in Maxi's case is you can control the entire like match like at far ranges with his 2A because the range is so retarded. So say like two people are like, you know, trying to space out, get a feel for someone, and then they run in, throw a fucking 2A, they can be like at neutral position and they run in, you're gonna get hit. They're gonna get hit by it, and then it's just like, oh damn, well now I have to block. And it's just like, okay, well now I can get my game started. Or when like in the situation like you're saying, when someone's like mashing all over you, it's just like, all right, let me just 2A here, and then it just like takes momentum back from it's a momentum killer.
That's what I was gonna say.
And it's, you know, it's fucking I'd like 12. Like there's nothing really that's gonna beat it. And if you look at it like, okay, say like you're fighting against Pyrrha, right? And Pyrrha's BB is stupid. She can like, and so like when you're trying to, she's running in on you, it's like, you know, she's gonna do a BB because it's like one of her fastest options. So like if you think about it, oh, she's gonna run in, what is she gonna do? Right? And it's like, you think about her frames, like her fastest options, none of them are faster than 2A. So it's like, all right, if she tries to come in, I'm just fucking 2A her ass and then back out. So it's like you can just control it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
That's how I think about it.
The other thing it does is it forces, like, most good players who realize that that's happening to them will either try to like run up just guard or like try to get you to throw it out and whiff punish it.
And that's another thing.
But what that does is that makes them have to stay at a range where most characters aren't that comfortable just waiting for 2As. You know what I mean? Like,
and the thing is, like, when they're that mindful of 2A,
right?
Oh, they're like the player who's like getting spooked by a 2A is like, you know, kind of fucking up, really, because regardless of how good 2A is, it shouldn't. If you're getting 2A'd a lot, how can I put this? I think really weird with this game. So a lot of the stuff I say sounds like nonsense, but it's actually legit. So like, okay, when you have someone mindful of one move and they're just constantly thinking, oh man, how am I going to beat this one move? That opens up pretty much anything else you want to fucking do. So like, say
Right.
for example, what you're talking about, and they want to run in, and you know they know you're gonna do 2A, right? So they're gonna try to bait whiff. Like, if you're not like punishing that 2A instantly, they're not gonna punish it. Like, they're not gonna whiff punish it. And if they fuck up and they do something that's unsafe to whiff punish you, you just punish them. It's like, oh, I threw out my safe little 2A on whiff. It's really hard to whiff punish a 2A if you're not like instantly on it. So if you're
I'm more talking about if you're expecting it, like not reaction based.
Oh,
like
well, shit, man. You can expect a 2A all day. You ain't doing shit about it. It's a 2A. I mean, unless you're like...
What? I would punish plenty of 2As.
I mean, I would punish 2As too. It's just like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to explain it in the best way I can, and I'm like fucking flopping here.
I mean, basically, like any other tool in the game, you know, if you can do it enough to the point where your opponent respects it, maybe more than they should, then you're doing something right. I get that. I'm just saying, like, just having a tool like that, especially if it has good range, like Maxi's does, it's controlling the mid-range game to a degree, because it's not so much that your opponent's afraid of it, it's just that because it's an option, it's something to consider. Even if they're just running up and blocking or running up and doing something defensive, that's something you can take advantage of if you notice that. So it's not like, you know...
Really good examples would be, and I would probably have to upload some matches, between me and Lolo. That is literally all we fucking do to each other, right? It's like, we'll sit back and we'll space, and then we'll just control it. We'll control the space with like dumb fuck pokes, like pokes that like you wouldn't expect to be super good, but they are. Like Yoshi's 2B is insane. Like that move.
Yeah.
That move's really fucking good. Maxi's 2B is really good. Like, and it really becomes a battle for that mid range. And then at mid range, Yoshi and Maxi are really fucking good. Yoshi more so, since, you know, Full Crash 3K, it's kind of godlike. So it's like, all right. So say I will run in on WIndofMitsu, right? And it's just like, oh, he does 2B and I get counter hit, right? All right. So he's like +2 there, and he's in crouch. So it's like, all right, now this man's in crouch, and he's +2. What do I do? He's gonna full crouch 3K? Nah, nigga, I'm gonna throw this 2A out, and he's gonna stop it. And it's just like, I don't know. It's really weird. Like, you gotta think about it. I feel like you really have to think about the frames a lot when you're playing, like at a higher level. You got to think about it a different way, more so like than this is punishable by this. You know, this is this negative on block.
Right. No, frames to me comes down to control. Like if you have frame advantage, it's more controlling your opponent's response than it is, well, plus whatever number. Like that's the only time that matters is if you get something free. But like if you're a +11 and you have an I-11 move or something like that. But like in general, doing these pokes to get a frame advantage doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use the frame advantage. It just means I'm going to control what you're going to do next. I'm going to look for what you do to get to you know, get out of this situation. If you like to 2A, if you like to backstep, if you like to just block, whatever, you know. And then it becomes a situation where you might be at +5 and your opponent does, you know, a move that's not scientifically the best move to do, but it was a read on the fact that you're not going to press frames, so, you know.
Right.
Yeah, now
I can get shit like that.
And that comes back to what I was talking about earlier about being able to just guard at disadvantage and how broken that is in general. Like, I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Fuzion. Go ahead.
I didn't even know that. Senses me. I mean, yeah, 2A is a lot better in this game than say like Tekken, where low jabs. I mean, if you get basically you get jump kicked, you eat half-life. It's like a full launch. In this game, you might get jumped. Your 2A might get jumped. That's one way to deal with it. You get some damage, and then you're right on top of them with frames. 2As, I mean, I just try to just guard it because I'll take the plus like 11 or so it gives, I think, which is pretty big. And I feel like you can't attack from disadvantage, especially not major disadvantage like that all the time. Certainly, you're right, Zach, that sometimes surely on paper someone wouldn't do that, but they will. But I do think over time, like I mean, I can catch on to that just as well as you can keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And the thing is, I have so many good options after major advantage that I could just throw out any one of these things that become an uninterruptible move to you. You know what I mean? Like Just Guard, I think even like 6-6B, you'd have to have something 10 frames to beat that. Like if I Just Guard a 2A and do 6-6B, I think you'd have to have a 10 frame move to compete with that.
Well, I'm not talking about. I don't mean mashing after you just got Just Guarded. That doesn't sound very smart at all. But
that'd be from disadvantage, though.
Well, yeah, but that's a different kind of situation. I think. Like if you just got Just Guarded, I don't think people.
Flash.
I don't know. That just for some reason that strikes me as a different. Like it's different if I got hit with BB and I know you're going to try to use like what IRM was saying, like use a slower move to do guard damage and stuff like that. Like if I can interrupt there, I will. But like Just Guard, that's like most of the time you're punished anyway. So it's like I don't know. For some reason, that's a different situation. I think
probably because Just Guard usually gives so many frames, like way more than just blocking something.
They're like Just Guarding gives you the same amount of frames that it's negative.
What do you mean?
Like. For example, like Maxi's like left inner A, right? That's like negative 32 on block, right? Or negative 30 on block. If you Just Guard it, you can get like a Siegfried fucking divide. So it's like you're getting like plus 60 frames to punish, or plus 30 more frames to punish it.
Right.
So like it gives a fuck ton of frames when you to do it, to Just Guard. It's like
Just Guard.
It is
From what I understand, Just Guard is more. it just removes block stun. So basically, it turns your block punish into a whiff punish.
That's why Just Guarding a 2A on its own already recovers fairly fast. So even if you whiff that, sometimes you won't get punished. But I mean, you still could get whiff punished on doing a lot of 2A, but. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good tool for so many characters, for sure. I don't doubt that.
Hey, man. 2A into 2A is tried and true. It is tested. It is tested. It has been field tested. It works.
Well, since we are doing like theory fighter stuff, I just wanted. How much we got left time-wise?
We've been doing... it's been an hour and 30 minutes.
Alright, we'll do one more.
We'll go until
one more, then.
our duty is done.
I like that.
Alright.
Let's do...
So, I want to get, since we're still on the caliber stuff, like, do you prefer to use, to mix up throws or lows with mids? And if you want to do both, like, when do you prefer one or the other? And this is for anybody, not just IRM, so... if you
I'm trying to think, how should I answer this?
I like me some lows.
It depends on the character, I feel. Like for Maxi, his mid throw game is pretty ridiculous, but his 1K does so much damage if you hit them enough times with it. Like it's an 18 damage low. And okay, so like honestly, I like to mix up lows and mids more than I like to mix up throws and lows because, they'll just duck. They'll just duck.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I'm
a low guy.
I like to use more mids, and that's just because my character has stronger mids than lows.
Well, mids are always the strongest moves in the game, but, like, just like, all right,
they are ducking. What are you going to use?
Right.
If they duck, what am I going to use?
If they aren't ducking at all.
Oh, well, shit, I'm going to just use my mids because they're going to break their guard.
All right.
That's a
perfect.
Good point, too. That's exactly why I love Guard Crush in Soul Calibur, because
that's the only reason why Max
that is such a good third part of the mix-up.
That's the only reason my character's good. It's because he breaks guards.
Fuck, Glacia's guard game is pretty good.
And if there was no guard breaks in this game, Maxi would be terrible.
Yeah.
I stand by that statement, 100%. But yeah, I feel like guard damage is really, really crucial in this game because
it's crucial to the series. I think.
Well, I mean, it's only been in 2 of the game,
right? And they should never go back.
Yeah, that'd be lame. Being able to block all day is lame anyway. No one wants to watch that shit.
When do you? I know you play Mitsu and all, but in general, do you prefer grabs or lows?
In general, so, like I just completely disregarding my character.
Well, I mean, including your character. I mean, obviously you play Mitsu, so
yeah,
it has a really good low.
Yeah, I know. I have a
couple of them.
I have a large variety. I have not a huge variety, but a decent variety of lows. Basically, I have my main one being toe poke because it's great range, just general great movement, great move altogether. I mean, his kicks are alright, but I would nowhere put them on the tier as everyone else's kicks. Like Maxi 1K is significantly better than mine.
I don't know, man.
I kind of like Mitsu's.
Mitsu's 1K spins people around on the ground, which is fucking stupid.
That's 2K, man.
No, his 1K does it too.
Oh, really? That was weird, but I mean, I also do like 2K because like if I just do solid 2K, because people always have a weird thing with Mitsu. Like, I would also want to say to people like this is kind of giving away like Mitsu thing. Like, don't be afraid to challenge me after the 2K because honestly, why would I complete a 2KB? Because it's hard to say. Like, that's just very stupid stuff. But like,
you mean a meterless one, or
yeah, like just doing like a meterless one. Like, yeah, I'm just doing like a meterless.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why. But like, probably the only time like we'll just throw a 2K is because like you're anticipating probably us finishing up, and then it's like at that point like we're like you're like you feel like, oh, am I safe now? I feel like I can probably in that time period I can just quickly like throw out like a 2A, 4B or something like that just to get that nice damage from me. So
what a lot of people don't know is Mitsu's 2K is punishable by itself.
No, yeah, it is.
So
at least like if you got an I-14 or faster, it'll beat it and beat the follow-up. But the move is still pretty good because it knocks down on counter hit like Pyrrha's 1K. So it's still a pretty good move.
You can combo a CE, which is the funny part.
Really? Holy
yeah,
shit, I didn't know
that's the thing of Mitsu, where he can pretty much combo off about any move he has to CE. But in my perspective of I guess now like if I was like say like playing other characters, I would. I guess I wouldn't say I would go for those. I would just like I would go for lows. I guess in a sense, just because I like basically you get them ducking. I mean, I pretty much want to say like I'm like IRM because I do like my guard break damage because I believe I don't know if everyone's seen me, I like to throw a 236 B hold a lot, just due to the fact basically like I just love throwing out that damage to your guard, and just putting me at -2. So it puts me in a nice comfortable situation where I feel like I'm in a good place where I can continue to just basically mess with your guard and slowly dwindle you down.
Yeah. I think, like, as far as my thing is, I'm definitely more for lows in general because, well, 2 reasons. One, there are very few lows in the game that get super punished, like a throw would if they duck. Like, if you're playing Alpha Pat, you're not going to get full crouch 3A plus B punished for a low, but you will if you guess a throw wrong. The other thing is, especially if the low is if it's a step killing low, especially, there are a lot more sidestep tech crouch moves in the game than there are sidestep tech jumps. So if people are just throwing out a lot of evasive moves, most lows are going to be like really solid against that kind of strategy, and they also don't get auto GI'd for the most part either. So like they're pretty
like Shiba.
And it depends on their. I mean, most lows are unsafe. That's true, but like it also depends on what character you're playing against, how bad they can punish it.
Yeah. In general, I tend to throw, and that's what people have told me too. They're like, you just throw a lot, which I prefer to play that game because there's just so much damage waiting there.
Throws are fucking broken.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're not,
especially go ahead.
And it's like, damn, I feel like a bully now because I just bulldozed you off your turn to speak.
No, that's fine. I still remember what I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna make it quick though. So it's like the things it throws is just like if you keep throwing them, they're gonna duck, right? And then a throw is like 60 damage depending on like your character. Like if Pat throws you B, and like he gets the full thing, that's like a 70 damage throw. Or like if Pyrrha side throws you to the right, the left. I'm sorry. If she left side throws you, she gets like 80 damage, and it's just like, what the fuck? So it throws do way too much damage to not use like all the fucking time. Yeah. And then once they start ducking, that just opens up the even dumber shit. Especially in Pat's case. You duck into a 6-6B, that's half-life.
True.
If he has a bar. It's like, damn, 6-6B CE.
But
or like 6-6B, 1B Brave Edge into CE. Like, the fucking...
carry.
Character, don't get me started, man. Too much. But
like, I also pay attention to how people deal with the throws, because in general, it feels like they'll duck throws, and then they'll do the wrong punish, or no punish. I don't know what it is. Versus blocking the same speed low, they usually will punish me. But they usually don't punish duck throws too hard if they're at least a little shaky. So if they do that, they're definitely going to keep throwing. And if...
Well, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel pretty comfortable with the kind of like the throw meta where even when they're breaking throws, I can get people to kind of spam an attack after that sometimes. I'm like, even regardless if this throw is successful or broken, if they break it, I'm already thinking... where are we at next? Because I seem to win that fight against certain opponents sometimes.
Right, because it's a thing where they've allowed you to get in their space, and that's not exactly comfortable for a lot of players to have somebody freely just getting in their space to grab them in the first place. So if they start mashing to try and keep you out, you can capitalize on that.
How did they get into your space? You didn't throw out 2A?
Full circle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It all comes back to 2A, man. It's so good. It's just like, man, this nigga's throwing the shit at me. He's gonna run up and do something. I'm gonna just throw this I-12 low. Special mid. Stop all that shenanigans.
Yep.
Send him back to the drawing board.
The nice thing is, like I'll practice with Pat's 1K sometimes just because it's a little longer range, I think, and it covers step. But although I feel like throws can cover step a little bit too.
Yeah, unless you're Hilda or Valdo.
Her throws catch backstep, so that's kind of a thing.
I don't see that often at all.
I play Pat, so I don't see that.
You don't see that?
Not with Pat.
Rose catching backstep? No, I don't see that a whole lot.
I've had Pat catch my backstep, Pyrrha, fucking Sheba, Maxi does it, Astaroth.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sheba, yes. I'll give you Sheba, because he has his hand way out in front of his face, so you grab him. But
every character can catch backstep, like, with the throw. And I feel like that honestly depends on the frames also of when you're throwing it out. Like if you're at slight advantage and they backstep, you'll catch their backstep, as opposed to like in neutral, you just catch their backstep off a throw. Even though I have caught backstep with throws from neutral. So
I mean, I've seen a lot of shit in this game, so I'm not gonna doubt it. I know it just hasn't really happened to me. So,
man, that's the worst. You lose a game because someone caught your backstep with a command throw. Fucking nuts, man.
Hey, throws catch 2A sometimes. How do you feel about that?
Yo, my 2A has never been caught with a throw. Just saying.
I've always hated that. Even in Soul Calibur 4, I hated that when I would get grabbed out of a 2A.
I'm down here. How are you grabbing me?
Yeah, right?
I've been grabbed out of all those pounce moves. Like,
oh, well, I mean, we'll be here all night talking about the dumb shit we've seen in the game, but...
Well, that's just Soul Calibur shit, man. It happens.
I mean, I've seen a time where I got wrung out, and it didn't register a ring out. I just morphed back up through the bottom of the screen.
Oh, man, like yesterday I was playing with Lolo, and he hits me with Yoshi's 3AB Brave Edge, right? And he does 6K, and I'm out of the ring, and I air control all the way back into the ring, and then I ring him out. And I'm just like... sucks to suck. Just like, what the fuck, man?
The will of Soul Calibur.
I'm just like, damn. It's so much dumb shit happens. Like, there's just a lot of little, like, intricate shit that if you, like, for example, like, Shiva's Remembrance B, you can, like, jump through it. You can just
Cervantes can just block, and it just whiffs right through his face.
Yeah, it's just, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's poor game design or just, like...
Somebody missed that on the testing.
Well, then again, it's like, who's really gonna fucking test? Yo, if I jump here, will this work? It's like, no.
That sounds pretty important for testing a mid.
I mean, shit. No beta tester is gonna like be thinking like that.
Here's a mid that can't stop you from jumping or ducking. It's useless.
Wasn't there a character Tekken Tag 2 where like some shit like that was going on?
No, fucking Pat can duck, and Lacia's 1B plus K just whiffs like a high, and he just gets free whatever the hell he wants.
Like Maxi can duck versus that single B and like fucking punish the shit out of him.
Oh no, Maxi is even better. Maxi, without blocking, his neutral stance will evade full crouch 3B from Lacia. Like, it's a pain in the ass trying to hit him with that in training mode, because you have to make him, like, wait, because he moves back and forth to the side. He just whiffs.
It's just, there's a lot of flaws.
It is. There's a lot of things in the game that are like that. So
and it's just like, ooh, herp derp. Herp derp. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Okay. So I think the 2A cast has been going long enough. IRM, do you have any shoutouts or shots you want to fire before we?
Shoutouts to Don Juan, the Great One. Shoutouts to Zeph. Shoutouts to LP, aka Long Penis. Shoutouts to Party Wolf and Hates. Shoutouts to Shoutouts and shoutouts to Maxi. He's the best. Oh, and shoutouts to the SpectatorCast for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Well,
Now, if you just want to come get this work in this Soul Calibur, you know, I'm online right now.
Hey, I'm trying to finish the podcast.
I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. You said shit.
No, we're done. Stop talking. Okay, thank you for watching the SpectatorCast episode 7.